Why is it so damn hard to let things go? Not to what just happened, but the way things still affect you. Not just to the past, but the emotions and reactions that don't seem to fully go away. Why do certain feelings resurface even when you understand where they came from? And why does being honest or vulnerable still feel like a really big deal, even when nothing bad is actually happening in the moment? Most people think healing means doing more digging, more understanding, and more trying to fix themselves. But what if the reason you still feel stuck isn't because you haven't done enough, but it's because you're still holding on to things you don't need anymore? So today, I'm going to walk you through what letting go actually looks like and what changes when you stop letting emotions, opinions, and ego drive your decisions. And toward the end of this episode, I'm going to share a few things that help me break these patterns and how you can start using them too, especially in moments when you need it most. Hi, I'm Kat Dupree, and I help people to navigate life with herpes. If you're listening to this, chances are that you already know there's something that you need to let go of. Maybe it's an emotional reaction that keeps popping up. Maybe it's the constant fear of what other people might think. Or maybe it's that voice in your head that turns every situation into a judgment about your worth. For a lot of people, those things end up quietly controlling how they think and react. And this isn't just about noticing that it's happening. It's about what it looks like to stop letting it decide everything for you. Because letting go isn't about pretending you don't care or forcing yourself to feel differently. It's about understanding how emotions, opinions, and ego take over and learning to stop letting them run things. Let's start with the part that people feel first. The emotions that come up after a herpes diagnosis, whether that's fear, anger, shame, guilt, embarrassment, all of it. But here's the thing that most people don't realize. You don't let go of emotions by deciding you're just done with them. Hell, if that worked, none of us would still be replaying the same reactions years later. Letting go is actually something you have to put into practice. You see, most of what keeps people stuck isn't the emotion itself, it's the resistance to it. You feel fear and then you judge yourself for feeling afraid. You feel shame and then you try to push it away or pretend it's not there. But when you don't allow an emotion to be felt, it doesn't go away. You've probably heard the saying, what you resist persists. Well, that's exactly what's happening here. The more you fight an emotion, the more it shows up. Not because something new is happening, but because the original emotion was never actually allowed to run its course. Dr. David R. Hawkins writes about this in his book, Letting Go. He explains that emotions don't lose their grip by being suppressed or avoided. They lose their grip when you allow them to be felt without judging them or trying to change them. When you stop fighting an emotion and let yourself feel it, it doesn't take over. It actually starts to dissolve on its own. Now, letting go doesn't mean fear never shows up again. It means that when fear does show up, you don't attach yourself to it, you don't create a story around it, and you don't let it decide what everything means about you. Instead of trying to get rid of the emotion, you allow it to be there without feeding it. You don't argue with it, you don't try to fix it, and you don't try to push it away. You notice it, you stay present with it, and over time, when you stop feeding into it, it doesn't have the same power. That's the difference. Emotions aren't neutral. They shape how you see yourself and how you relate to your diagnosis as a whole. When you're living in fear or shame, everything starts to feel harder than it needs to. You question yourself, you hesitate, and you're on edge, even when nothing is actually happening. And it's not just about rejection. It's about always feeling like herpes is there in the back of your mind, influencing how you think, how you feel, and how you see yourself from day to day. When you stop resisting those emotions and you allow them to release, things begin to change. You're not reacting the same way anymore because you're not constantly bracing for something to go wrong, and you stop operating from a place of fight or flight all the time. And that changes how you experience your diagnosis, even though the diagnosis itself hasn't changed. Once you start letting go of the emotional reactions, the next thing that comes up is learning to let go of what other people think. And this is a tough one for everyone, even me, because whether we want to admit it or not, most of us want to be liked, accepted, chosen, and loved. That's totally normal, and you wouldn't be human if you didn't feel this way. But problems start when what other people think begins to matter more than what you think. Imagine this. You're about to share something personal. Maybe it's your diagnosis. Maybe it's something about your past. Or maybe it's just opening up and being vulnerable. Then you tense up. Your mind starts racing, and you play out every possible reaction before anything's even happened. What if they judge me? What if they pull away? What if what I'm about to say changes everything? So you rehearse what you're going to say in your head over and over again. And you think by just saying something the right way, you'll get the outcome you want. But it doesn't work like that because you can't control how people respond. Not your friends, not your family, not your date, no one. And trying to manage someone's reaction will drain you emotionally faster than anything else. And here's the part that really matters. When you rely on other people's opinions to feel okay about yourself, you stop listening to your own and you start outsourcing your sense of value. You look to someone else to tell you whether you're lovable, acceptable, or enough. And the problem with that is simple. No amount of approval will ever feel like enough if it's coming from the outside. It took me a long time to understand this. I spent years trying to explain myself better. I thought that if I said the right things and tried to fit into everyone else's mold, maybe they'd stick around. And you know what? That never worked. What changed everything, though, was realizing this. Their reaction is theirs, and my response is mine. And when I stopped trying so hard, everything changed. I didn't feel like I had to convince anyone to stay, and I didn't feel like I had to explain myself into being accepted. The people who mattered didn't want me to be perfect. They just wanted me to be me. And the people who couldn't handle that, well, they're no longer in the picture. That's the freedom in letting go of what people think. You don't need everyone's approval. You don't need everyone to like you. And you stop giving other people the power to decide who you are. So if someone judges you, that's their perspective. If someone walks away, that's their choice. And if someone makes assumptions, that's on them. And when you adopt this principle, it doesn't mean nothing will ever bother you again. It just means other people's reactions and opinions stop having power over you. Now, let's take this another step further and talk about letting go of your ego. What do I mean by this? Even after you stop obsessing over someone's reactions in the moment, your ego can still be there controlling how you interpret everything. And let's get something straight. When I talk about your ego, I'm not talking about arrogance, confidence, or being full of yourself. I'm talking about the little voice inside your head that immediately turns someone else's reaction into a story about you. Things like, if they reject me, I must not be enough. If they walk away, something must be wrong with me. And if they judge me, that must be the truth about who I am. Ego is what makes someone else's opinion feel more important than your own. Now, letting go of ego looks like this. Being okay if someone says no. Being okay with the stigma because you know it isn't you. And being okay with not being liked by everyone. Not because it doesn't bother the hell out of you, but because it doesn't define you. For a long time, I let my ego run my entire life. And there were times it still shows up. I would be totally lying to you if I said it didn't. We can't just shut out our ego entirely, right? But before I became aware of my thoughts and learned how to let go of my ego, every rejection and every reaction felt personal. It didn't just hurt. It felt like proof of who I was, and I let other people's opinions turn into facts about me. And here's what I want you to understand. Ego doesn't protect you. What it does, though, it keeps you in hiding, keeps you second-guessing yourself, and keeps you from fully living your life. When your self-worth depends on external approval, anxiety and self-doubt follows, and you're always looking outside of yourself to feel okay. Letting go of ego doesn't mean that rejection or judgment suddenly feels awesome. What it does mean, though, is that it stops owning you. For example, a no doesn't automatically turn into proof that something is wrong with you, nor does it turn into a story about your worth. It becomes what it actually is. And what is that? Someone else's response. Nothing more, nothing less. And that's what reclaiming your power actually looks like. Not avoiding discomfort, not needing to be liked, and not turning every reaction into a judgment about yourself. It's making a conscious decision that your ego doesn't get the final say-so anymore. So, now that we've talked about what it actually means to let go of emotions, what people think, and setting aside your ego, let's talk about how you can start putting this into practice. First, let's start with letting go of emotions. Step 1, notice what you're feeling. Don't analyze it. Don't explain it. Just notice what's there, whether that's fear, shame, anger, guilt, or something else. Step 2, notice where you feel that in your body. Maybe it's your chest, maybe it's your stomach, or maybe it's in your throat. You're not trying to change anything. You're just noticing the sensation. Step 3, stop reacting to it. Meaning, don't argue with the feeling, don't judge yourself for having it, and don't try to make it go away. Step 4, don't turn it into a story. You're not deciding what this means about you. You're not jumping to conclusions. You're just noticing the feeling and staying with the moment. And as you're noticing, take a few deep breaths and let the thought go. Next, let's work on letting go of what people think. Step 1, think of a situation. Just pick a moment where you're worried about someone's reaction. Maybe it's about telling someone you're dating about your condition, or a friend or family member possibly finding out. Step 2, separate their emotions from yours. What's theirs? Their feelings, their reaction, and their decision. What's yours? Your honesty, your self-respect, your truth, and how you choose to react and respond. Step 3, remind yourself of the following. What's theirs? That's on them. What's mine? That's on me. And last, let's work on letting go of your ego. Step 1, become aware of your ego. Start to notice when you start turning someone else's reaction into something about you. For example, maybe you tell someone about your condition, then they ghost you, and you believe that something's wrong with you and that you'll always be rejected. Step 2, interrupt that thought. Take a breath. Then instead of letting that moment take over, choose a different response. Say something like, that's their choice and it doesn't mean anything about me. That's on them, not on me. This works because it stops the reaction before it turns into a story about your worth. You're not denying what happened. You're just not letting it define you. This episode is about one thing: taking your power back by letting go. Letting go of the emotions that keep getting triggered, letting go of what other people think, and letting go of the ego that turns every reaction into judgment about your worth. Letting go doesn't mean nothing bothers you. It means emotions stop driving your decisions. Other people's opinions stop defining you. And ego stops deciding what things mean about who you are. When you stop resisting, stop proving, and stop overthinking every moment, something shifts. You stop giving everything else so much control over you, and you start to take your power back. Well, that's all I have for today. I truly hoped that you enjoyed today's episode. And if you haven't subscribed yet, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on audio, please be sure to do that so that you don't miss future episodes, especially the ones that are in this series. Also, if you're tired of navigating your condition alone, come join us at Herpes Wellness. Membership gives you access to a private online community with forums where you can ask questions, make friends, find love, and get support from people who truly get what you're going through. If you want support on the go, then you can always download the Herpes Wellness app, available in both the App Store and in Google Play. The links to our website and the app are in the description. And if you're concerned about privacy, we have got you totally covered. The app icon and push notifications say H Wellness, so if someone happens to see your screen, you won't disclose your status unintentionally. And if you're enjoying the podcast, or if you have something you'd like to share, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you the next time on the Herpes Wellness Podcast. Bye for now.